Now, when you talk, Robert, about the Luciferian agenda,
yep.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
I think we could also call it the Archon agenda because Lucifer is the Lord of the Archons.
Mm-hmm.
He is the king of this world and the underworld. He illegitimately took over this world from his family. They're from Orion.
He hijacked it.
He illegitimately, apparently I refer back to Wes Penry's papers, he says that Lucifer, or Enki, as the Sumerians might have called him, was supposed to ascend to the kingship of the Orion Empire. He was passed over because he was acting, well, not in accordance with their laws and their ways. He'd become a rebel. Remember, he's the original.
That's right.
All right. Agitator, rebel, whatever you want to call it. And so his younger brother, Enlil, is the one who was instead became king. And so most people point to that as the cause for him starting a civil war, much like we're seeing here, in America right now again.
Right.
Okay. But I think we have to go back a little further to what I had reported back in 2011 with you is that there are these mental parasites, and my understanding is that they hitched a ride. Lucifer was, or Enki, or whatever you want to call him, he's got many different names because he's essentially an immortal being, a god. He was there with the original team that went into a forbidden zone. I believe it was a portal out of this universe or to some place that was the home for these parasites. And he became infected, his crew, his team became infected, and when they came back, they had gone mad. And they started attacking their own kind and destroying entire worlds and solar systems, which is what he did when he started the Civil War. This planet, our solar system, used to be part of the Orion Empire. This planet was actually a little larger. It was just beyond Mars. It was called Tiamat or Gaia. And when he attacked, he allied himself with his father's side of the dynasty, which is from Sirius. Even though they had a peace treaty between the Sirius group and the Orions, that peace treaty didn't hold once Lucifer, who was the heir to the throne, he became the ultimate rebel, turned around and attacked his own empire to create an empire of his own. And that is his agenda. And when he attacked his solar system, he wrecked this planet. He actually tore pieces of it off. They blew up pieces of it, and which is now the asteroid belt. Now, I know a lot of people have their preconceived notions about what Van Flanders said and Sitchin said and all this stuff.
Right.
I know this is going to sound contrary to a lot of people, so I would urge you to just listen to this and see if it makes any sense. It does to me. That this planet originally was a garden paradise. The life here was an experiment. It was symbiotic. It was androgynous. And Lucifer, Enki, whatever, came in here and literally took over by force, illegitimately claimed it as part of his empire.
It kind of echoes the Genesis, Robert, doesn't it?
I know, but okay, so here's the whole thing about all that. Again, if you take the time, the more time you spend, especially on level 4 of the Wes Penry papers, what you'll see is he's laid it out very carefully. That all the history that we have was written by the victors of the war 500,000 years ago. They did not want us, their slaves, to understand how we came into being and why we're basically trapped here. What used to be a paradise planet, a garden, was turned into a prison planet that has been grooming the grooming grounds of slaves.
That's amazing work. It really is. And now, but when you brought up Sitchin,
yes,
who sounds somewhat a little like what you've just said.
Yes.
So, are you saying you agree with Sitchin?
You'd ask
some
me this
some
before.
don't.
It's not that. You asked me about that at one of the other conversations we had, and I said he didn't go far enough, and I was right. He did not go far enough. Either he didn't know, or he didn't want to say, or he couldn't say, because a lot of people have asked him, well, where did these Anunnaki go? Are they still here? Are they coming back?
Exactly.
Okay, and this is the urgency why I appreciate you having me back on, because I just have to explain something to people, and I know it's going to sound shocking, but these gods are going to return. They've never really left. They left some of their elite in charge, or I should say, they created a layer of servants.
Their offspring in charge.
Well, sort of. I mean, here's the thing about the Adapa is that it was a little bit of the Luciferian blood, the Orion. It was and mixed with some of the androgynous genes or DNA that was developing here on this, the garden planet. And then he mixed in some of the literally apes, as well as reptilians. So the primitive worker race that he genetically engineered, he didn't create, he genetically manipulated a servants, a slave race for him. And then he created another layer of what they call the Adama, where that was the king's, the royal bloodline. It has more of his blood. They have more of his blood. They're the ones, the caretakers or the overseers, for when they
sure.
Right, so that they do the bidding of the Anunnaki, Luciferian or Archon agenda.
So, David, I could be right too.
Look, everybody has their own perspective on this.
Right.
Oh yeah, he's right about the shape-shifting. It's not just reptilian. Lucifer can do it too. He's an amphibious being or god. I mean, he's lost his godlike abilities. That's the other thing that makes me think he must be infested by the parasite, those amoeba-like parasites I was telling you about.
Yeah.
I think that those mental parasites have infected quite a few extraterrestrials and caused them to be very rabid. They act like they turn on their own kind, and so
would make for a great movie, Robert.
Well, I think. Yeah, look. Here's where it gets really wild. The DNA that we have still has coding in it of the original goddess, the queen. She definitely left some of her essence in the original DNA that was seated here, which we have, and it was deactivated by the Luciferians, part of the Archon agenda, to make us slaves. Keep us ignorant. Why? Is because, well, obviously, we're more subservient. But it has been gradually activated, or I should say reactivated, during what are called the quickening. That was between 87 and 2012. Wes Penray talks a lot about this. That's just the first phase. The next phase is going to be what some people call the superwave. And what that is just a frequency, a wave of energy that was going to wash over the planet, and it will activate everybody's dormant DNA. I'm not talking about strands here. I'm talking about the code that's in there, because DNA is a fractal antenna, and it does connect us from the physical to the etheric, if you want to call it that. And why this is important is because no later than I alluded to this last time we spoke. I know now for sure. No later than 2022, the gods are going to stage a return to our world, and they will present themselves as a savior of mankind.
Now, when you say stage a return, what are you talking about?
I mean that they will come out of the closet. They're going to come out under the pretense of being here to save us.
Will they come in the form of UFOs and craft?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the UN is going to be part of it, as well as the Vatican.
It'll be all prearranged.
It's all prearranged. It's staged. It's like, and the reason they're doing this is twofold. They have been grooming us to be part of their military force that is going to attack Orion again, the Orion Empire. But they also they know that this other component is coming, and this is a contingency plan. They do not want to lose a bunch of us slaves. They consider us their property. So they would consider it theft for the benevolent ones to come in here and try and liberate us openly. But they can't stop the wave. There's nothing that's going to nothing. That's not going to stop it. When it sweeps over the planet, and we don't know exactly when this is coming. We just know it's coming.
Is this going to be a full-scale war?
Well, it's been full-scale civil war for a long time. The Earth has been caught up in it. We're part of it. We're pawns. Most of us are just pawns for the Archon agenda. But here's what's really important about this conversation is we've only got about 7 years, maybe less, for people to get become aware of what's really going on, because when the superwave sweeps over us and people spontaneously just wake up and they have cosmic consciousness and they can see, they're going to literally have recall of the original garden. And I don't mean the fairy tale that we've been told. The real thing is going to be tangible, okay, palpable. It's going to feel like they're, having a full-blown memory is going to come to them. They'll have a knowing, a gnosis, okay? And it's going to be, for a lot of people, it's because they've been lied to for so long, it's going to be, boy, you talk about bursting a bubble. It's going to be shattering. It will be very, very, they'll be conflicted. So this is the main reason I wanted to put the information out there. It may seem premature, but look, we got to talk about it at some point.
How will it occur so we know it's happening?
Which?
This I don't want to call it the second coming, but...
Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, look, you're talking about the alien gods returning?
In that agenda, yeah.
Oh, well, that'll be obvious. That is going to be patently obvious. There's no way that you're going to miss that one. Everybody's going to see it. However...
UFO reports everywhere, sightings, you name it.
Yeah, but not only that. Okay, so our government's... Look, I've been taking the lead on the reports about UFO activity in Washington, D.C.
Correct.
It's incontrovertible, but the government refuses to budge no matter how much evidence is out there. They say there's nothing happening. Well, that's a lie. Okay? It's patently false, just like everything else the Archons do. It's all based on lies and manipulation. A big part of the problem that we're having is there are rules to this game. And because so many of us agreed, let's go back to the thing about Eve. He tricked her, right? But she agreed to it. So when it's brought up, like in a court of law, in the higher courts, the council, the higher council, the Luciferians, the Archons say, hey, they agreed to this. Well, yeah, we did because you tricked us. And that's why the superwave is so important. People are going to know. They'll be able to see through the lie, the sophistry that's been executed here for so long. And at that point, we have to make a decision. Each and every one of us has to decide, do we want to continue to serve the Archons? Or do we want to go back to being part of the benevolent creator, the good side? And George, a lot of people. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
A lot of people. This is part of what was shown to me. A lot of people are going because they've been stuck in this. Repeatedly reincarnated here intentionally. They've been tricked into coming back here again and again, staying here. They're not going to want to go to the good side. It's going to frighten them. It's like, you've probably seen stories about this. I think Shawshank Redemption kind of touched on it. You've been in jail for so long. Now you get a chance to go out. Being out is scary.
It is scary. That's right.
Okay.
Brooks. That was Brooks. He killed himself because he couldn't handle the outside.
Yeah. So this is why I'm trying to help people prepare, put things into context and prepare themselves while there is still time. Because here's the thing. Look, everybody's heard this old adage, the truth will set you free. Well, how are you supposed to find the truth here under these conditions? They don't, that's the last thing, he's the king of liars too. It's pretty obvious that the Archons don't ever want to tell us the truth. More importantly, this is a battlefield and the first casualty of war is always the truth. It's something they call the fog of war. And I'm not exaggerating this, and I apologize for rambling at you, but, Jesus, I've had 2 cups of coffee and chocolate. It's the only way I can stay awake. And honestly, it's the adrenaline, too, is just kicking in because what I heard you talking about, I've lived through the Watts riots. I've lived through Rodney King riots. Not that makes any difference. I just know. I know what this is all about now. And it wasn't easy for me to figure this out, but the information's there. And honestly, the most truthful research that I've come across recently are those Wes Penray papers. They're not perfect, but in this world, you know, and I've read everybody's research, even people who are not published. They send me stuff. His research has helped me tremendously in a very short time to finally, you know, get a clearer picture so that I can help articulate that to others.
This agenda that you say is going to happen, is going to come.
Yeah.
What do they want? What do they really want?
They want to retain control over us, their property,
which they had at one time. Right?
Well, no. The Archon agenda, based on the Syrian alliance, they took this illegitimately. They took over this portion of the Orion Empire. They want to. They know that there have been these efforts towards liberating us. Okay, and
right.
So they are doing what they can to prevent us, such as HARP, putting fluoride in us, the chemtrails, broadcasting all these frequencies. Technology itself is a trap in that regard to make us dependent upon them for our very survival. It's all a trick.
Are they who we call the Illuminati? Those kinds of folks?
Yeah, those elite. The kingship and the priesthood is what it used to be. Now it's called the shadow government. That was all orchestrated and established by the Luciferian or Archon agenda. It's not just Syrian, by the way. When Wes talks about the Syrian alliance, he's talking about a group of different beings that are working together against the Orion Empire. And like I said, they do not want. Yeah, I mean, look. I wish this was just some weird fantasy we could, have a laugh about it, But to me, look, I told you a while back, the reason I'm so passionate about trying to get the truth is because I know I'm smack in the middle of it. I wanted to know who is watching me and why, and it's been very difficult for me to get a straight answer on this, and it's very complicated to unravel this Gordian knot. But it's finally starting to, with a lot of effort. Look, I wanted to give up in 2012. Honestly, I just had enough of it.
Well, what reinvigorated you?
In part was the response when I said I quit, was the response I got from people out there that asked me not to. And I had to really just think about that. So I'm glad I didn't because, honestly.
Well, I'm glad you did.